Hey guys, welcome back. Now, after 4.5 long months since crypto's last big breakout, sentiment is down, as too is the most recent price action. With the key level of $60,000 being broken to the downside, just how low could things be going in the short term? And so the big questions are, is this bull market still intact? And if so, where are things going next? And so in this video, as always, we'll be covering the latest price action. We'll see how this bull market is progressing against the previous ones. We'll see some important charts to get the true perspective on what is going on. And then we'll finish with the biggest developments of the past 2 weeks. Okay, so let's start with the latest price action and try to figure out what is going on with crypto. Okay, so starting with the latest price action, here we are with Bitcoin's chart. And the first thing we'll notice is that this trading range between 60,000 and 70,000 has been breached, but this time to the downside. And there's been enough days now for this to confirm below, which means that this big support now becomes resistance. And as we can see, it's already been tested twice already and still falling back below. So sentiment is down, price action is down. So what is going on? Well, I still hold on to the view that if you want to point blame, then look to the Bitcoin ETFs, as this launch took the price from around 40,000 all the way to 70,000 in the matter of 6 weeks. So that's adding $30,000 in just 6 weeks. And if we're close to 60, that move would take us from 60 to 90 again in just over a month. So although it looks pretty bad, when crypto wants to turn around, it can move very, very quickly. And as to the reasons why, well, I can put it down to 3. First, we had the news that Mt. Gox was going to be giving money back to customers. Add to that, we had the German government deciding to sell their Bitcoin onto the market as well. And then most recently, there's increasing tensions between the Ukraine and Russia, and things look to be escalating. And obviously, war is not going to be good for risk assets. So, combination of all those things, I think, is why we're sitting where we are right now. Even though we had some great inflation news yesterday as they beat expectations, but the bigger global economy is more in charge at the minute. Now, moving on to seasonality, which is a good viewpoint because we get away from these daily swings, which can be very misleading, and we zoom out to a much bigger picture. And here we get to see how 2024 is going in a snapshot. So obviously Q1 was great, Q2 was a pullback, and we've just started a couple of weeks into Q3. Now, when it comes to Bitcoin, if we take a look at how we're doing for the year, it was about 70% for Q1, take it down to 60, about 50%. And for Ethereum, we had a nice start, Q1 60%, take it down 55, and about 45% for Ethereum. So at 45% and 50%, although things seem really bad right now, that's still outperforming the S&P 500, which is having another stellar year. It's outperforming tech stocks, Triple Q, which is having a great year in itself. It's outperforming gold, which is having one of its strongest years for a long time. It's outperforming silver, commodities, property. So even though things seem quite shaky right now, it's not as bad as it seems. And going into the monthly, last time we looked at this, we were talking about whenever there's been a drop in June, historically, every single time, there's been a nice bounce back in July. However, a couple of weeks in and it's down almost 10%. So this goes to show that crypto really has a mind of its own. And just when you think you've got it nailed, and you know where the market's going to go, it does the opposite. So as you can see, June here, it was positive the next month, same here, same here, same here, same here, and right now it's bucking that trend. However, as we know, a 9% drop is not so bad when crypto can go up 10% in a single day. So again, with still 2 weeks left in July, this is still all to play for. Now, moving on to a very important chart, the 4-year cycle. As again, zooming even further out, we really get to see the true picture of what is going on, and we get out of the daily swings, which cause all the negative emotion and give a false perspective. So for anybody new, the blue was the first cycle in Bitcoin, where Bitcoin started and went on its crazy first run. Orange was the second 4-year cycle, green being the third 4-year cycle, and we're now into the red. And the great thing about this chart is that it all revolves around the halving, which I think is a really good way to measure. It's better from measuring from the bottom, it's better from measuring from the top. I think going from the halving has the most value. So what is going on? Well, as you can see, this was the crazy run of the Bitcoin ETFs, which gave us an all-time high before the halving, which is something that had never happened before. And as I've talked about before, when you get the sharpest moves to the upside, you also get the sharpest corrections to the downside as well. So it's kind of bittersweet. And this time we've had this 4.5 months of sideways consolidation, and most recently coming back down. But interestingly, we're now getting really close to the previous cycles. And this is actually more where it should be in the first place. So instead of having this massive run and pullback, if we would have just had some nice consistent growth, this is probably around where it should be. It certainly had no place being ahead of the first cycle, and if we're getting diminishing returns, which you can see, diminishing returns each time, then if we're being fully objective, it also shouldn't be above the green line as well. There's a good argument to say it should be even lower, and things would still turn out very, very well as it goes up in multiples. So let's knock out the blue and see what we get. And let's go one step further. Okay, so we're pretty much back exactly where it's been in previous cycles. And so this says to me that there definitely could be another month of sideways or even downwards price action, which although would suck, and it's something that we all definitely don't want to see, it's just what this chart is saying. It really should be below the green, as much as we all just want it to be going like this. So by now, the orange cycle had its major flush out earlier before, and the bull market was now on track. When it comes to the last cycle, from here, we had some very choppy action, some big drops, big runs. The market certainly didn't know where it wanted to go. Peaked out, and then, similar to what's going on now, some very choppy sideways and downwards price action. And they had one big last flush out about 6 weeks from where we're at today. So this would say that the turnaround could be next month. And then from the big flush out, this is when it went on an amazing run all the way up close to 70,000. So this is where we're at right now. It's still a period from after the halving where there's a lot of uncertainty. You can see there's major drops that have already gone. There's major drops that have happened even further out from here. So patience really is the key. We are still on track. And if you want to blame anything, then blame the Bitcoin ETFs, which shot the price way higher than it should have been at that point. And finally, for me, the perfect bull market would look like this. Now, obviously, we're not going to be able to keep track with this orange line, which went to 130x. So if the bull market played out something like this, it would be a winning result. We just get this nice run here with the orange line. And if we just keep this trend, it would then bring us back underneath and under the last cycle, keeping the same growth. So this would be the line where it's just consistently growing. All prices are going up. And then it probably tops out somewhere between a 10x and a 15x. For me, this would be the best case scenario. And obviously would have some runs above and drops below all along the way. But at some point, we're going to have to come under the previous cycles. That to me is what success would look like. And I don't think this market is going to finish after 12 months. It looks like it's going to be extended. Interest rates have not even dropped. Liquidity has not yet even started to come back in a big way. So it looks like we're going to extend again closer to the 18-month mark. However, wrapping this up, to me, the bull market is still on track. It's still pretty close to where it should be. It still could even come down even further, and it would still be okay. As annoying that is to hear, as obviously we all just want it to go like this. Now, not many news stories for the past couple of weeks. Here are a few. We heard that Sony had rebranded a subsidiary to S-Blocks, which means it's expanding its crypto trading business, which is great, especially from a big brand like Sony. This piece of news was hilarious as Coinbase had landed a big government contract. This is the Marshals Service, and looking after their $32 million portfolio. And yes, this is the same US government, which is also suing Coinbase for selling crypto assets. So hypocrisy in the US government is alive and kicking. And another big thing, everyone was wondering what is going to be the next crypto that gets an ETF, and it's looking like it's going to be Solana, as two companies have now filed, and it looks like the deadline for these are going to be around March next year. And I'd say this really depends on who is going to become president in November, as if we still have Gary Gensler, I'd say this ain't going to happen. However, if we change the guard and get a crypto-friendly SEC, then Solana will likely be next in line. However, the biggest news of the past 2 weeks really has been this struggling price action. And in fact, Bitcoin had one of its biggest liquidations ever since the famous FTX collapse. And as mentioned, primarily due to Mt. Gox, the German government, and escalating war in Ukraine. After 4.5 long months since crypto's last big breakout and the key level of $60,000 being broken, does this mean the end of the crypto bull market? Well, with sentiment being pretty crappy right now, as with the latest price action, when we look at the key indicators, it's really not as bad as it seems. Bitcoin and Ethereum still continue to outperform every other major asset class, whether it be stocks, tech stocks, bonds, gold, silver, property, etc. The 4-year cycle showed that we're now just coming back into fair value territory, and it's where it really should be at this point in the cycle, and blame the Bitcoin ETFs for taking price from 40,000 to 70,000 in a matter of weeks. From what I can see, there still could be another month of sideways or downwards action if I were to be completely objective. And it will be really interesting to see what impact the Ethereum ETF will have on the market. And this could be coming as soon as next week. So all in all, I'd say we are still on track, although it really doesn't feel like it. And it reminds me what people think it's like to hold a crypto portfolio versus what it's actually like. Remember, to get the massive upside, you also have to take some big hits to the downside along the way. So there you are, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Now, let me know your thoughts and comments below. However, just remember, to get rid of 100% of the comment spam and trading bots that plague YouTube comments, we are trying out the new SuperThanks Commenting system. So to get your question or comment read and replied to, or just to say thanks, then use SuperThanks below. And for now, just to say, if you did enjoy anything in the video, then drop a like, and a big thank you to everyone who does, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.